Hi. It's my Charlie. And this is school cancellation, kids cooking lessons. And today we are making taco soup. We have this, I hope, streaming in multiple places. But the reason that I want to do this is to help your kids learn how to cook and to help you have a little bit of structure in your day and a little bit of something to look forward to as we all are home. We have like self-quarantined. We have enough food to probably last about a month, and we probably won't be going anywhere. So Charlie and I you guys like his sweatshirt? I knew that was going to be popular. Charlie and I also have a stream happening over here on Instagram, and Charlie and I are going to make taco soup together. Do you know how to make taco soup? Have I ever taught you how to do this? No. So I'm going to teach him, and I'm going to speak to him, and I'm going to speak to kiddos who are watching. I know a lot of kiddos are going to be watching on their parents' accounts, and I will speak to parents as well. And I have a little spiel I want to share at the end. I have this like whole plan, you guys. I want to share a spiel at the end for the parents. So kids, we're going to work together now. And parents, I want you to like later on scroll to the end, and I'm going to share with you something I share in the workshops that I do, the in-person workshops that I do, that I think will be really helpful for you, especially given that we have all this extra time to hang out and work with our kiddos and teaching them how to cook and just my philosophy on how that works. But I want to jump into the recipe first, so I'm going to share that later. You can always, look at your super popular sweatshirt. You can always catch this replay. If you are watching this on YouTube, this was recorded on Facebook Live, so the resolution and quality isn't going to be the most amazing. However, that doesn't matter to me today. What matters to me today is that I'm going to help you and I'm going to help your kiddos learn how to cook. So we're making taco soup. It's a very simple recipe. It's one of my favorite recipes to start with teaching kids, because you end up with an entire meal maybe plus a veggie, right? However, it does have corn in it, so it could be like a one-dish dinner, if you will. So the things we're going to learn today, 4 things. We're going to learn how to chop an onion. We're going to do that first. Then we're going to learn how to brown ground beef. It's right here. Hey, Dawn. We're going to learn how to open cans safely. This is really important, especially if you have younger kiddos that are helping you in the kitchen. And we're going to learn how to simmer on the stovetop. I think in our recipe, it might have had the Instant Pot version. I will go over the Instant Pot version and slow cooker cooking directions later. We're going to cook this on the stovetop. So if you are cooking along with me now, we're just going to cook along together. So stick with me. And again, of course, you can watch the replay. Before we get started, a quick disclaimer. First, for the parents, this recipe uses knives, and we're opening cans, so sharp lids. So if your child is doing this right now with us or during the replay video, you need to be supervising them, number 1. And kids, this one's for you, okay? So moms and dads and grandmas and aunts and uncles, we have a tendency to like step in and do it for you. Am I right, son?
Yes.
Yes. I am Enneagram 1 type. Like I want to just do it because it's faster for me to do it. So my message for parents is let the kids do it. Let them make a mess. You have extra time to clean it up right now. And 2, kids, and Charlie, for you too right now, if your mom or dad or grandma or aunt or whoever tries to step in and get in the way and do it for you, please politely and respectfully say, no, you're teaching me how to do this. Let me do it. It's not going to be perfect. It's not going to be the way maybe exactly that your parent or whoever does it. But what is important is that you learn how to do this. So you can say,
let me do it.
Let me do it. All right. So those are my 2 quicks before we get started. So let's first learn how to chop an onion. There goes my husband. All right, we have Instagram friends here. We have Facebook friends here. $5 dinners. Share this, please. You guys, I want to help. We are doing this just for fun, partly for us to kill time, partly for you to have something for your kiddos to do that's not streaming games on YouTube. Sorry, kids. So this is what I want to help. I'm sitting down, Candace, so he's not quite as tall as he looks. So, okay, we're going to switch camera views real quick. You guys bear with us. This is super, like, I have my computer on the counter. This is, like, funky here. But we're going to chop this onion first. All right, Charlie. So what we want to do is which knife? That's a really good question. The knife that we want to use is a knife that is comfortable for you to hold. So pull out this one. Just set it down. And then let's look at, this one's heavier. This is another knife option for you as well. So I'm going to tilt this camera down. I can't tilt it down, you guys. I'm sorry. If you're watching on Instagram, you guys hop on over to Facebook. It's a much better like camera view. Amy's here. Yay. And my friend Melissa too. Okay. So I'm going to teach you how I cut an onion. And there are many ways to cut an onion, but this is my preferred method. I actually lop off both ends. I slice off both ends and then cut what's in the middle. So knife skills that are very important is you want to hold the thing that you're cutting, in this case an onion, with your fingertips like this, Charlie, okay? For those kiddos that are watching, you want to bend your fingertips so that when you go to cut, your fingertips aren't going to be, how do I say this lightly? Not cut off, if you will. So you want to line the knife up and your fingers up. So you're going to, I would use this heavier knife. There's Irene and Alex. Okay, so you're going to hold this like this with your fingers up, and then you're going to slice off this little root and get kind of as close to it as you can. Be very careful with onions because the paper skin, you could peel the skin off if you want, but I don't usually do that. The paper can be a little bit slippery. Okay, so hold it like that and then slice as close to the root as you can. If you need to give it a little rocking, there, perfect. Now push down towards the cutting board. Perfect. See, you can hear that paper crumbling. Okay, now spin it around and do the same. This is going to be slippery paper. There you go. Give it a little bit of a rock. Slice down. Okay, this is how I cut an onion. I know that you don't do this. He is right-handed with his cutting with his knife in the right hand, holding the onion with his left hand. I think the video might be flipped. I'm sorry. Okay, so let me get this cleared out. You guys, I told you this was like a crazy setup. All right, so now we've lopped off the ends of the onion. So now what we want to do is slice it right down the middle, but it's not the equator middle, it's the longitudinal middle. You guys, I should know this. Along the meridian?
Yeah.
There we look at these fancy words. Okay, we want to cut it right down the middle. Yay, Jackie's here. Do you know Jackie Vasquez from school?
Yeah.
Yeah, she's watching. Okay, so slice that right down the middle, and then we will tear the paper off. Let me see if I can take this. Let's flip. All right, I'm gonna have my phone while he cuts this on Instagram. So he's now peeling off that first layer of paper. This is a large onion, so we may or may not even use all of it, but I'm going to show you. Can you get all that off? Show you how to cut probably 1/2 of this, and I will probably, because we're kind of a little bit in ration mode, I'll probably save this second half. So let's just leave this guy over here. Okay, so I want you to lay it down on its flat side, like that. Yep. And now we want to chop this, and Alexia's here too, fun. We want to chop, so what we're going to do is we're going to slice it this way, Okay, and then we're gonna slice it the other way. So this is where you need to have your fingertips up. There you go. That's good. Can you guys see okay? Perfect. Wow, have you cut an onion before?
No.
Oh, okay. See, we're all learning something here. That's okay if it falls off. Okay, you guys, thank you for sharing this. Okay, this is where you might need to ask for help, kids. And actually, this is probably okay. So this last strip is a little bit thicker. It's okay to cut this last strip a little bit thicker. These are going to be small enough pieces, and when they get cooked, they will shrink a little bit as well. So we can now go ahead and chop the other side. So hang on, I'm going to show you a little bit of a different way. So here, you guys, I'm tempted. I told you guys, let your kids do this. I was about to jump in and take over. Okay, so now stack these back up in like together as best you can. They don't have to be exactly in the right order, but stack these back up how they were. If they're falling apart, then we'll just do like Julia Child style, just like chop, chop, chop. Dawn, yes, we're doing a different recipe every day this week and possibly beyond, depending on what school cancellations look like. We're also going to take all these videos and put them onto the $5 Dinners blog in one place so that you can have like a cooking binge. Hey, Evan, I'm so glad you're here with your mom. Now remember, Evan, I said this earlier, but in case you missed it, if your mom wants to take over and try and do something for you, don't let her. You got to do it. Okay, so now we've kind of gathered those together. So let's flip them this way and then chop across the other direction. And what we're looking for is smaller pieces, something less than ½ an inch in size, if you will. Okay, remember, hold your fingers correctly.
I can't, it's all falling.
It's okay. Okay, just do your best. You might need to, watch your thumb. There we go. With, let's see. You might need to practice a little bit of a rocking motion with the knife. So I'm going to come around here with your hand. Okay. All right. You might need to put the tip of the knife down and slice down and forward. This is where you have to watch your fingers, down and forward. See how that's slicing nicely, down and forward. So you want you guys who can't see this, you want to put the tip of the knife, and this is a larger knife, so it's easier to do. The tip of the knife down, put your fingers up. You guys on Instagram, bear with me, or go over to Facebook and watch there. Okay, so an apple for practice is perfect, Ashley. Pretty much the same consistency. So you want to put the tip of the knife down to stabilize it. And then you want to rock down and forward. Watch the knife. See how my knife is going down and forward? That makes it a little bit easier to chop like this. Good job with your fingers, buddy. Okay. Why don't you keep running the knife through that onion and try and dice up a little bit more of it. Okay. Nope. Rock it. There. See, now it's slicing. Can you grab a couple of other pieces? I know, Christina, I am not crying yet with this onion. I think we might be okay. Good job. Put the tip of the knife down and then rock it. There you go. Woohoo! Virtual high fives to everybody who is doing this. I love it. Okay, let's find some of the bigger pieces and then rock through those. And then we're going to move over to the ground beef. Oh, now I'm starting to get a little teary-eyed. Is it making you cry? A little bit? We need your swim goggles. All right. You guys, thank you for sharing this. Thank you for being here. Thank you for allowing me to help teach your kids how to do this. And thank you for equipping your kids to do this in your kitchen. You know, we have all this time. And so I think this is fantastic. Friends on Instagram, come watch on $5 Dinners. We're going to finish up over there. Bye. Okay. We are going to call this good. There's a couple of larger pieces, but it's going to be a soup, so they'll get smaller. Let me just run a couple, but that looks really good. And again, I'm going to save this other piece for later. Okay, so I'm gonna shift gears. Everybody good? Hit me up with a thumbs up or a heart if you're good to go, whether you're kiddo or not. Hit me up with that. And we're gonna move on to browning the ground beef. And I'm gonna shift our camera slightly. You're gonna cry. Go wash your hands. If you're gonna cry, wash your hands. All right, we're gonna shift gears. We're gonna shift gears and I'm gonna point the camera here where we're going to do our second cooking objective is browning ground beef. So I'm going to shift the camera and we're gonna learn about browning ground beef. We've now chopped an onion, learned some helpful tricks for that, and we are going to brown ground beef. I always feel like I say that backwards. Brown beef, no. Brown the ground beef, and then we'll get to the cans and getting the soup simmering and going. So let us switcheroo over here.
Can I hit it?
Okay, Michelle is good to go. Okay, let me, oh, there's Charlie's shoulder. Let me flip this up a little bit towards the stovetop. And we're gonna go ahead and get started with the beef. So I actually already added the beef here. Here's my disclaimer for this. Kiddos, this is raw meat. You need to be sure to wash your hands. You need to wash your hands very carefully after handling raw meat, okay? So that is something that you need to be mindful of. Parents, if your kiddos are doing this, please supervise for this as well because this is raw meat and we want to make sure that we sanitize properly. So let me switcheroo. All right, Charlie, open that and see what we find. All right, this is ground beef. And what we need to do, this is just like a little, this is the only option available. I prefer to use a little bit leaner of a ground beef for this. But we're not going to. So what I'm going to do here is have him open the ground beef. So what we're going to do is we're going to slice along the seam and then put the, like squeeze the ground beef in here. If you just have a regular package, open the package. This was literally one of the last ones available in the store. Do it over the pan. This pan is not hot yet. We haven't turned it on. Yanira, we live in San Antonio, Texas. Again, help your children with this if they're too young to be handling raw meat or a knife like this. So we're just cutting this open. You could use scissors. I usually just use a knife. However you get your meat out of your package, go ahead and do that. If you need to teach your kiddos a slightly different way that you prefer, go ahead. That's totally fine. This is just how we're doing it today. Okay, no, just one time. And then we're going to just squeeze it out. So take this side and just squeeze out the meat into the pan. Get it all out of the sides. And then you gotta go wash it. Throw the package away and then go wash your hands. All right, washing hands. This is very important when we are doing brown. I think it's the other soap. That was the dish soap.
Oh.
That's okay. Alrighty. I have a handy tool. Sorry to be reaching across like this. I have this handy tool that I really like to use. It's like a little chop stir. You can get them at Amazon. Some grocery stores carry them. So what we're going to do before we turn the heat on is just kind of break that up. You are learning to cook with your mom. I'm so glad that you're here, sweetie. Autumn's daughter is here with us watching. Yes, and what fun. Are you having fun?
Yeah, I'm having a lot of fun.
I'm having a lot of, this is kind of fun. We get to all do this together. This is for the extroverts who are like, how am I supposed to cope with being stuck at home all the time? This is for you. We're doing this for you. Okay, what we are going to do is now, we've already chopped our, this is 1 pound of ground beef, Dana. You could do more depending on your family size, but for taco soup for our family, 1 pound is generally enough. Okay, so let's next add, now remember that's raw meat, so now we have to clean, that's okay. Actually, you can just leave it in there, just leave it on top. We're gonna break it up again. So next we're gonna do is add the onions that we've already chopped up, and we're gonna cook the onions and sweat those while we are browning the ground beef.
It's a lot of onions.
It's okay. It's okay. If they don't all make it in, no big deal. We'll clean them up later. Why don't you take that to the sink and rinse it off. I am a rinse and clean as you go kind of home chef, so try and teach those same habits to the boys. All right, so now what we're going to do is turn on the stove. And if he knows how to turn on the stove, but if you don't know how to turn on the stove, have your mom or dad or grandma or whoever help you to turn on the stove. So this is going to take a minute to heat up, and then we'll kind of, why don't you mix that together? Mix the onions in there with the ground beef. Yeah, it was a pretty big white onion. I'm glad we only used half. So this will start to brown and cook together, and then we will drain it and then add the other ingredients. Amy, this tool is super fantastic for browning meat, ground meat like this, sausage, let's see, ground turkey, ground chicken, ground beef. And I also use it to mix up meatloaf. You know, you would mix up the other ingredients, you know, whatever you're making, the breadcrumbs, the eggs, the seasoning and whatnot, mix it up the meatloaf, and then it just is less mess and you don't have to take off your rings and get your hands all messy. So that's going to take a minute to start browning. So while that is browning, maybe we should, while it's coming to, yeah, kind of spread that meat out, bud, so that it's like a lot of it's touching the bottom so that it browns faster. And then the onions will sweat a little bit. We'll get a little bit of liquid from the onions that we'll need to strain off, as well as any of the fat. Okay, just leave it in there. Yeah, perfect. Okay, let's open cans next.
Yes.
I'm going to shift this a little bit, and let's just open the cans right here so it's in the same camera view. You see that?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Opening cans. This is cooking objective number 3. We've started browning the ground beef, and we're going to start the cans so that they're ready when it's time to add them in after we drain it. So what you need to know about opening cans is that, this is a message for the kiddos, is the lids are very, very sharp. So you need to be very careful after you've opened them with how you handle the lid, and we'll talk about that next. If the beef isn't thawed, Carol, I put it into a bowl of water to help it thaw, and I have many times browned it like this from frozen. Just add a little bit of water, and you have to sit there and break it up as it defrosts. Okay. Alrighty, opening cans. So you want to get that popped on there. Moms, dads, grandmas, aunts, uncles, whoever, help your kiddos with this if needed. So you want to, I know there's different types of can openers. So go ahead and snap it onto the lid and then twist it around until the lid breaks off. Sometimes it doesn't break off. Did it break off all the way? Yes. Yes. Okay. Now, this is where you need to set the can opener down, and you need 2 hands. So we're going to press on one side and pinch on the other. Press and pinch and pull it out. See how you can do that safely? Press and pinch. We're going to show you that again. In this case, we do need to drain. I do prefer to drain my veggies. You can drain either in a strainer. You can drain in a strainer, or if your kiddo is older, then you can show them how to use the lid.
Well, I know how to do that.
Well, I know, but I'm doing this for younger kiddos. For younger kiddos, you can teach older kiddos how to drain like this, or you can use a strainer if you are working with younger kiddos. We just need to be very careful with this sharp edge. I'm going to leave the strainer out for the beef. Okay, after you drain that, let us finish with, let's mix this up, buddy, okay? And then we'll do the other cans. So we're going to turn this over. It's starting to smell amazing. If you're cooking with me, you know it smells amazing right now, huh? Another thing that I'm going to add to this beef, just because I like garlic, I'm just going to add a little garlic powder. I typically add that whenever I'm browning ground beef that, you know, the recipe works with garlic. So, hold your hand out. You can measure a teaspoon. I usually just kind of pour it into my hand and drop it in. and then mix it in there. A teaspoon of garlic powder. If you want to add that, you can. You do not have to. All right, so now that it's getting to be a little bit more browned, we don't want to overcook anything. So we're going to probably sit here and sort of babysit this and move. Kiddos, you want to move. You can kind of see this one right here. This is a thicker piece that you can see the redness. That needs to be cooked a little more. So you want to make sure to break up those redder pieces and make sure that they get cooked before you add any more of these other ingredients. Okay, so once the initial browning happens, you just kind of stir it around for a couple of minutes until it's all the way browned up. Thanks, Kathy. Yes, we are making taco soup. I'm teaching my son Charlie, and hopefully your kiddos as well, how to make taco soup so that you have an easy dinner option. This is another reason I picked this recipe, is because it is very pantry friendly. The only thing that you need essentially that's fresh, if you will, is the meat. You could use dried onions instead of the fresh onion, but I wanted to show you how to cut an onion, which is why we did an onion in this case. So this is very sort of pantry friendly, if you will. So that's why we wanted to do that. Is it all the way brown?
Yeah, it is. Yep, it's brown.
Okay, let's make sure. Break up that piece in the middle there. Again, moms and dads just looking over their shoulder. It's really hard for me to not jump in and help him, but I'm just talking him through it. If your kiddos are younger and do need a guidance on their hand, definitely help them, but we also want to equip them to do this well. All right, let's turn the heat off. And then we're going to take this over to drain it. And what I actually don't have a grease jar right now because we're in like a rental house sort of situation. So, and I just don't have one. So we're going to drain this into this bowl. You guys that are asking about the spatula, it's if you search Chop Stir on Amazon, some grocery stores carry it. I think Walmart might have it. Chop Stir. You can find it. They're like $4, $5, $6, $7. I'm not sure. Pretty affordable. Okay. You think you can do this right here?
Yeah.
Are you sure? Okay. This might be a two-person job. I know it's heavy. Okay, we can leave a little bit of grease in there. That's okay. All right, perfect. Switch it back up. Let's get a rag and wipe off the side so it doesn't burn on the bottom of the pan. Christina Ann, yes. Hey, Lauren, if you're watching, can you drop the stovetop taco soup recipe link here? All right, now that that's drained. No, we don't need to use that one. Let's not dirty that. Okay, now that that's drained, just dump it right back in there. All right, so just drain that. Dump just the colander. Okay, and then go set the grease. You just go set all that by the sink. Just get it out of the way. All right, now we're gonna leave it off for a second while we open the remaining cans. So we're gonna open the rest of the cans. Where did that can opener go? All right, so remember we opened the corn a minute ago. This is diced tomatoes with green chilies because it's the only diced tomatoes that I have in my pantry, even though I stocked up on all the canned goods. So we're going to open this, and again, press and pinch. That's your key with opening cans, is press and pinch. Yes, Kelly, I do think Pampered Chef has one. I think mine's just like a generic. Okay, so that came all the way undone. Press and pinch. Well, use two hands, but that's, will you do it again so you can show, especially for younger kiddos? I know you're old enough, but younger kiddos, press and pinch. We do not need to drain this one. Okay, we will need to drain the black beans. So now we have 2 cans ready to go. Now let's do the black beans, and we are going to rinse those. Actually, we could probably just drain them. That would be okay. So I'm going to have Charlie take this can of black beans over to the sink to drain the juices a little bit. I don't, it's nice to have a little bit of juice in there, but if you want to rinse them completely off, you can. That's up to you. So take that over to the sink. Melissa, I did this one because Melissa's asking why drain the meat. This was a fattier meat, and I didn't want all that. I usually do a leaner beef, but this was the only option at the store. So that's why I drained that. All right. Now, We are ready. So the next thing that we're going to do is add all of these ingredients to the soup, and then we will add the broth and the seasoning. Okay, so go ahead and add all the contents of each of these 3 cans. And you guys, if I missed your question, I'll come back and answer it. I don't think I'm seeing all the comments as they come through. Okay. So these 3 now, go ahead. You could use the chop stir, Charlie, or if you want to get another stirring option, you can do that. One of those plastic spatulas is really good for something like this too. Yep. So we're going to give that a good stir. I'm going to think it's fine. We're done with it. We're going to stir this through. And the next thing we're going to add is the broth and the seasoning. You could do the seasoning first and then the broth. Actually, let's do that way. So what I have here is my homemade taco seasoning. I keep it in a jar, glass jar in the freezer actually. But it is a combination of ground cumin, chili powder. We're gonna add 2 spoonfuls, buddy. So here, let me get you the measurements. So my homemade taco seasoning is ground cumin, chili powder, garlic powder, onion powder, and a little bit of crushed red pepper. It is not very spicy, but it is very flavorful. So let's add 2 tablespoons to that, and we'll stir that through, and then we'll add the broth. I think in the recipe that I shared yesterday, it might have each of these items spelled out, but I already have this homemade option. So we're just gonna go ahead and use that for today. And I usually make that in like large batches and then just store it in the freezer in a glass jar because we do a lot of taco inspired meals around here. So that's perfect. Now we need to add broth. So I use a bouillon base just because it's the most affordable and I think healthiest option that is available. So will you go turn on the hot water? We actually, because we're going to put this into soup format and because we are going to let this simmer for a while, I'm actually just going to make the broth in here. But we're going to measure out the liquid in the spoonfuls. Amy, we have a homemade taco seasoning recipe on $5 dinners. I'll drop the link for you. It's the best. I've been using it for years. So we are going to make this broth in here because it will work that way. You can just use broth that's in a can or a box if you want, but this is what we have. And so this is what we are going to use. So we're going to do 2 cups of hot water. I don't know where those big net here. Use these. Use this smaller. So we're going to do 2 cups of hot water with 2 spoonfuls of this broth. It's basically going to be the rest of what's in this jar. So just go ahead and pour that in. Again, we're making the broth in here using a bouillon base. If you have cans or boxes of broth, just go ahead and pour that in, guys. We're getting towards the end here. Okay, you might use this and like scrape that off there. And then we're going to scrape the rest of this out of here. All right. Learning how to cook on school cancellation. Actually, let me have that. Can you kind of get that, wipe that? Oh, easy. Slowly. Okay, let me have this, and I'm going to scrape out the rest of this broth base. Maggie, you could do chicken broth or beef broth. This is a beef bouillon base. You could use chicken as well. I've made taco soup many times with both. Okay. Just get all that, just stir it around and it should fall off this spatula there. All right, now we are going to simmer this soup. So we need to turn this on to low. This is something that you can leave simmering with a tight fitting lid. you could leave simmering for an hour, or even 2 hours or longer. If you're gonna do it much longer than an hour, you'd wanna add a little bit more water or broth because it will lose a little bit as it simmers. So how do you simmer?
I don't know.
Charlie doesn't know. I'm going to help you. So you turn the heat on and then you turn it down to low. Some stovetops will have, turn it on first. There you go. And then turn it all the way to low. Some stovetops will have, I don't know if you can see this very well, but this is low. Some stovetops have a simmer high and a simmer low setting. Use the simmer low setting, especially if you're leaving it longer than an hour. This can sit like this with a nice tight fitting lid for quite a while. If I could just leave, I'll probably add a little bit of water and leave this here and we'll eat this for dinner later. So that's that. That's taco soup. Give a thumbs up to that camera. We're going to switch cameras here. That's how we do taco soup. And I want to close with a couple of important things. So don't leave just yet. I'm going to switch here. Don't leave just yet. I want to close with a couple things. So what did you learn today?
How to cook taco soup.
How to cook taco soup, which is what did we do first?
Chop onions.
Yes, my notes are right here. And then we did?
The ground beef.
The ground beef. And then?
How to open cans.
And what's my 2 P's for opening cans?
Push and pinch.
Right. Press or push and pinch to make sure that you take that lid out of there carefully and steady. And then we learned about simmering, which is on super low heat, so that the reason that we simmer is, in this case, it's not to really cook anything. The ground beef is already cooked and all the other ingredients are already technically cooked. The reason we simmer is to help the flavors infuse and mingle and marry and hang out in that case. And in some cases, the sauce cooks down. More water escapes from here, and that makes the sauce more flavorful. Okay, that's why we like to simmer on low heat for a longer period of time. Helps with just making it taste better. When you go to serve this, you could do a couple of things. You could do a little shredded cheese if you have it, a little sour cream. Crushed tortilla chips is also really good. Sometimes I like to even use tortilla chips and just like scoop it out and eat it that way. Those are a couple of ideas for when you are going to serve this. Before we go, 2 other cooking methods: slow cooker and Instant Pot. If you were going to cook this in the slow cooker, you would do the same thing as we did in the pot. You would dice the onion and brown the ground beef. Once the ground beef is finished, you would have added all the other ingredients: the brown ground beef with the onions, the corn, the beans, the tomatoes, the broth. You would add all that to the slow cooker. You could cook it on high for 4 hours or low for 8 hours. So the slow cooker is another cooking option for this taco soup, but you would want to brown the ground beef first before adding it to the slow cooker with the other ingredients. Next cooking method is the Instant Pot. This is similar to the slow cooker. There's actually 2 options here, so hang with me. If you have an Instant Pot and you're old enough to use one, this is very important. You can actually brown the ground beef in the Instant Pot insert on the saute mode. So you would saute, brown the ground beef, add the other ingredients, and then pressure cook it. The advantage to pressure cooking and slow cooking is that the way that they cook over time, again, helps with that flavor infusion that I mentioned a few minutes ago. On the stovetop, you can achieve the same thing by simmering on low. You can also, the slow cooker and the Instant Pot will also do that inside the appliance, like on its own. You don't have to do anything special. So let's see, we did stovetop, we did slow cooker, we did Instant Pot. With the Instant Pot, you can also brown it in a skillet and then add the ingredients to the pressure cooker and cook it that way. The Instant Pot cooking time, because the ground beef is already browned and you're just looking to infuse flavor, you could cook it anywhere between 10 and 30 minutes on high pressure. It's really just a matter of how much time do you have to pressure cook it and how much time you want it to have that flavor infusion happening while it is cooking with the heat and the pressure. So that's all for the cooking methods, if you will. The last thing I wanted to share is for parents. I mentioned this at the top of our lesson today, but for parents, I wanted to share with you my sort of delegation strategy, if you will. And I'm going to share an analogy about from my business. Okay. So I think one of the things that I know I personally, and I know many other parents have struggled because I've seen and heard this, is when you're teaching your kids to do anything, we don't have the right expectations and we're not training them properly. Okay. Speaking to myself and for speaking with other parents, this is what I've heard over and over and over. So I think what I want to share is something that's going to help, one, reset your expectations, and two, help you properly train the kiddos. And I think this applies beyond learning how to cook and cooking skills. I think it also is really helpful for chores, teaching kids how to do something. First, you need to know that it takes time. How long have we been working on putting our bowls in the sink and rinsing them out?
Years.
More like months, but we've been really focused on that in the last couple of months. But I think it's important to slow down and take our time and make sure that our kids understand what they're supposed to be doing and that we're properly training them. I know it's easy for me to be like, hey, just go sweep the garage. Well, what does that mean? Like, how are we sweeping the garage? Why are we sweeping the garage? How clean? Like, what's the goal here, right? Okay, let me back up. I'm getting way ahead of myself. Here's what we need to do. This taco soup is a perfect example. The first time that you make taco soup, it needs to be very much like what we just saw. You are standing with them. You are watching them. You are not on your phone answering emails or texting people back. You are there with them, making sure that they use their knife properly, making sure they wash their hands after they've opened the ground beef. Like, really be supervising them step by step, showing them exactly how to do it without doing it for them. Okay. My analogy is when I train somebody on our team for something new, I typically will share a video with them in like a written out step by step of what needs to happen for this particular task. I share the video with them and I show them what to do. Step one, show them what to do. I just showed Charlie and your kiddos exactly what to do step by step by step by step. Okay. The recipe would have all the directions written out, right? So I'm literally standing here. In that one case, I took his hand and I showed him exactly, how to rock the knife on slicing the onions or dicing the onions. So that's the first thing. So the first time that your kiddos make taco soup, you need to literally stand here and make sure that they do it right. The next time that they make taco soup, let's say in a week from now, maybe this is the perfect way to do this. You could have taco soup the next couple of weeks as we're all stuck inside. It's easy ingredients. It's yummy meals. And so the next time they make taco soup, I'm going to stand right here in my kitchen while he does the work. But I'm still here sort of watching a little bit from afar, if you will. So I'm not necessarily holding his knife, but I'm still kind of supervising to make sure that he does and follows the steps each time. Same thing happens with a new particular task in our business. It's still my responsibility to make sure that they know and understand what is going on with this particular task. So first time, you are hands-on supervising, showing them exactly what to do. Second time, you're standing like right here, watching, maybe not watching, maybe just sort of like glancing to making sure that they're doing each of the steps properly. The third time they make it. Yes, see how this takes time? It takes time, but what's hard is that we're in such a rush all the time and we're just like, oh, let me just finish this for you. Stop. You guys, we've been given this crazy gift of time. We have time to teach our kids to cook right now. That's one of the other reasons that I was so quick to jump into this today. I had this idea Friday morning because we are like, this is prime opportunity for this. So not only how to, because we have all this extra time to use up, but using this time wisely. Okay, third time, I got a little preachy there, I'm sorry. Third time, they're going to make it. You might be like, my computer is right. You can't see it, but it's right off the screen here. The third time that they go to make it, you need to be like around, but not really paying attention because they have shown you twice now that they know how to do it. And you just need to be there in case they have a question. So if he gets to the point where he's like, I'm just kind of stuck. What do I do? You can jump in and help them, but you're there. You're not looking over his shoulder. You're not holding his hand. You're not right there like hovering. You're letting them do it. The fourth time, guess what happens the fourth time, you guys? This is the best. Guess what happens the fourth time they make it? So come end of April when they're making this for the fourth time for your family, You show up at the dinner table and dinner is done. What? You ready for that?
Yeah.
Can you help me do that?
Yeah.
All right, end of April. You heard him say it right now. End of April, he is going to be making this taco soup completely on his own. We'll make it a couple times in between now and then. I'll get some more ground beef. I'm not worried about the supply chains. They're going to be okay in a couple of weeks after we all calm down. But so that's the idea. That's delegation, right? It's hard to delegate because we think it is so much faster to do it on our own. But guess what I've just started today? By teaching Charlie how to make taco soup, by working with my other boys later in the week as we do these lessons this week. What am I ultimately doing? Creating more time for myself, because soon he's going to be able to make taco soup on his own. He could probably actually do it next week, but I'll still supervise. Still going to follow my rules, right? So first time takes a little bit of extra time. You're investing. You're investing in your kids. You're investing in yourself. This is like sort of selfish here because now he's going to know how to make taco soup and I don't have to cook it, right? So that's the idea. When you can think about cooking lessons and slow down just enough to get these initial like trainings, lessons, teaching them exactly. You take your family's favorite recipe and do that exact thing that I just shared. Really dig in, supervise. I mean, we've been here for 45 minutes. A little bit of it's me talking, but probably took half hour, 40 minutes of an investment in me teaching him how to do this. So next week I can just watch and let him, do it and be there and making sure he's doing it right. The next time I'll just, be around. And the last time I'm showing up for dinner. I mean, that's amazing. Okay, so that's what I wanted to share with you guys and just how important it is to take this time. Now that we have it, you guys, this is the gift. I've been thinking about that all weekend, as overwhelmed and as stressed out as we've all been and trying to keep up with the news and reading everything and changes and closings and more cancellations. Like, as overwhelming as all of this is, we have been given this amazing gift of time and we need to use it well. And so that's what I'm hoping that these cooking lessons are going to help you use this time well with your family to, connect with them, teach them all these things. Was I cringy?
Yeah, definitely.
I was cringy? How was I cringy? I can't do anything right. I'm just going to be cringy. We didn't even put this on TikTok. Should I put this on TikTok?
No.
That would be way cringy. We're not going to put this on TikTok. Okay, so that is our first lesson for this week is taco soup. The replays will be on YouTube. We're going to put them on our blog. We're going to make sure that they're easy for you to find. When your kiddos and you are ready this week, you take the time to work through these lessons. These are such valuable skills. These first 5 recipes that are meals that I picked are just things that kids should be able to do on their own quickly. Obviously, it depends on your child's age, their maturity. I know some young kiddos are great in the kitchen. Some maybe aren't interested and are a little bit older when they start to learn these things. But these 5 things, if your kiddos can leave your house knowing how to do these 5 things, they're not going to be stuck eating boxed macaroni and cheese as they move on in their lives. So tomorrow is grilled cheese. My Tyler, who is 10, we are going to learn how to make grilled cheese together. I have other recipes that we'll be making throughout the week. Shredded chicken tacos is Friday. Pasta and meat sausage, which is essentially spaghetti, will be on Thursday. And Wednesday is, I always draw a blank on the last thing. The bagel, the English muffin or bagel pizzas. Again, easy for kiddos to make for either their own lunch or even for just a quick dinner. And also ingredients that, are going to be easy to find right now and, pantry shelf stable as well. So we will see you back here tomorrow at noon for the live cooking lesson, or again, you can watch the replay at any time. Thank you for joining us. I hope that this is helpful for both you and your kiddos. And we, Tyler and I, Charlie will be back. What's your day?
Thursday, Friday?
Your Thursday. Charlie will be back Thursday. Tomorrow, it will be Tyler and I making grilled cheese and teaching your kiddos how to do that as well. We will see you then.